everyone, welcome to our channel, Special Interests with Bob and Donna. For all you cruisers out there who are veteran cruisers and those of you who are thinking about taking a cruise, we have some really interesting information for you. We're going to share an experience, well, a few experiences that we've had with our 3 times that we were cruising. In 2013, Bob got a present.
Oh, yes.
And I go along with it.
For my 70th birthday.
For his 70th birthday, our son gave us a trip on Holland America Line. It was the Eurodam for the fall foliage cruise through New England and into Canada, which was absolutely breathtaking. We had a nice suite.
Fantastic.
We had a balcony room, of course. And it was just wonderful. The food was wonderful, the people were wonderful, the crew was helpful, they were happy, right? The 2 guys that took care of us, we even emailed them later on with pictures, and they were just absolutely wonderful. So we said, that was our first cruise, and we said, whoa, this is really nice. So I said, Bob, every couple of years after we save our shekels, we are going to take a cruise. So our second cruise was with Norwegian Cruise Line out of New York. So we don't go down to Florida because we don't fly. But
I don't fly. You fly.
I'll fly, but he's not gonna fly. So we look for cruises out of New York, and Norwegian Cruise Line does cruise out of New York, as do other cruise lines.
I don't fly commercial. Put me on a bush plane, I'm ready to go.
Oh God!
With the hunting and the fishing.
Wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. But we were on the Norwegian Gem, which is their mid-size cruise ship, and we had a wonderful time. It was to the Eastern Caribbean before they had that hurricane damage and everything else. The food was wonderful, the crew was wonderful, the room was wonderful, it was spotless. Everything that they did was absolutely spot on. As was Holland America for our first cruise. So we said, whoa, well, we're really doing well here. So we said, well, we'll wait a couple of years and to save up our shekels again. And we booked a cruise again with Norwegian Cruise Line, this time on the Breakaway, which is one of their largest ships. It holds over 4,000 passengers and 2,000 crew. So it's huge. It's huge. So in preparation for all of that, you know, you have to take a look at, you want to let them know when you want to dine at a particular restaurant, and all kinds of things have to be done beforehand, because by the time you get to the cruise ship and you go up to guest relations, everything could be booked for when you want to see these things. Well, so we did that. We were on the Norwegian Breakaway. The departure date was January 19th, 2018 to the Western Caribbean, as I said. The ship was late getting in because there was a minor storm at sea at that time, so we didn't get to embark early on. We had to wait until late afternoon, but understandable. But you need to know, folks, that this ship, the Breakaway, was the one that hit the newspapers because the captain went right through the bomb cyclone. I think it was at the end of January, end of December, beginning of January, and the people thought they were going to die. So this is the ship that we're booked on. All right, things happen during the winter. All right, we're late coming on board. It is cold outside. It's 33, 34 degrees in Manhattan. It's cloudy, so it's even colder. And we finally go through the embarkation process, which was fine. And we get to our stateroom, and it is a mini suite. We booked a mini suite because we like to have a balcony. And we go in the room, and it's freezing cold. Freezing cold. And then Bob is saying, well, let's, play with the thermostat and do this, that, and the other thing. And
turn the air conditioning off.
Yeah.
You couldn't do it.
Nothing is happening. So we complained to our room steward, whose name was Emerson, who was totally useless, and we'll get into that again. We went down to guest services, and I told them about it, and they said they would look into it. So we waited another couple of hours or something like that.
Let me interject to that. In a 6.5, 7 hour period, we complained 7 times. Every hour, nothing was being taken care of. It was just, we were nonplussed. We could not believe what was happening, or what was not happening.
We wrote a letter to guest services, and this is
on
interesting.
the ship.
On the ship. We're on vacation. We're writing letters. Go figure. Well, anyway, we wrote a letter, and we went downstairs. We figured, well, we'll put it in writing because they're not responding to our oral messages. So we go in front of this this young man who's at guest services, and we hand him the letter, and he looks at it and he says, "I can't read this." Well, you can't read this, folks. Any of you who have gone to Catholic school know that your penmanship is going to be spot on. Otherwise, the nun is going to crack you over the knuckles, and that was years ago because I am 70 years old, but things have changed. So the young lady that was standing next to him was unbusy. There wasn't anybody at the guest services counter. So Bob said, "Well, can you," handing her the letter, "can you read this and help us?" And the young man said, "Well, who's helping you? Is she helping you or am I helping you?" Arrogance personified. I said, "Uh-oh, this is not good. This is not good." Okay, because usually they bend over backwards to help you and to be personable, etc., etc. Okay. It took 7 hours for them to shut the air conditioning off. Prior to that, we asked our room steward to get a piece of cardboard so we could block off the vent because it was blowing like a son of a gun, and it was cold. It was cold. To block off the vent. Finally got the heat off. Not the heat. The air conditioning to stop blowing, but there's no heat. Now, meanwhile, you have to know that it's cold.
And it's getting cold. We're going into the evening.
Into nighttime here. So it was cold. All right. So we write another letter. This one addressed to the captain. We don't know if the captain ever got it, but I'd like to think so. So it wasn't until 21.5 or 22 hours the next day we finally got heat. Now, by that time, we had spent the night, first of all, in our clothes, and we didn't bring our Under Armour like we did when we were traveling up north, into New England and Canada with Holland America, because that's what we did. We brought our Under Armour. We're going to the Caribbean. It's going to be 85 degrees, right? We asked Emerson for hot coffee. There was no coffee. We asked for our bathrobes. We didn't get them until 3 days afterward. We asked for blankets. He comes about 5 or 6 hours later with 2 blankets that maybe could cover an infant. It's jaw-dropping, folks.
Usually, we've done 7 years of shows, Cablevision shows, and usually I have running of the mouth, but Donna said, "I'm running with this." Donna wants to.
Well, it's me we're both boaters, but I love being on the water, and those 2 experiences, one with Holland America and the other one on the Norwegian Gem, were really, really nice. So he said, Bob concedes because he loves the water as well. But this was like crazy. By the time January 23rd, this was like 3 or 4 days later, Bob is suffering from a hacking cough, headaches, runny nose, and a slight fever. Meanwhile, so there goes the time enjoying the ship as we're cruising down to the
Let me back up on it. From I would say from maybe October till May, you'll see me in a turtleneck. Now, I'm not a wussy guy. I've hunted in sub-zero temperatures. Not unusual for me to hunt in 20, 19, 13, 12 degrees, but I'm dressed for it. I have the Under Armour today, I have the turtlenecks, I have the gaiter, and I have a hat. If I don't have a turtleneck on, say from through December, January, February, immediately I get sick in the throat. People are saying, "Oh, you can't get sick, you know, from the cold." And believe me, if I'm exposed, and to be in this environment for over a 24-hour period without heat, and the first 7, 8 hours with the air condition blowing, I got sick.
He got sick. He was miserable. No appetite. Slept in bed. That's all he did. Couldn't enjoy the ship, and I tried to enjoy the ship at that point, but it's not the same when you're not with the person that you're traveling with. You want to have a good time together and share the opportunity. But anyway, so as we go from here, we're both saying, now, why on earth did this happen? Why is the cabin at such a cold temperature? So we demanded at guest services to see the captain, or either the captain or the hotel director. Well, we didn't get the hotel director, and we didn't get the captain, needless to say. We got the assistant hotel director. So he sat us down, and this was like midweek, and he's already sick. You know, his eyes are run, nose is running, and everything else is going on. And we said, what on earth happened? He admitted that the people in the cabin that we had prior to us on the previous sail demanded that the air conditioning be turned down even colder than it normally is, and everything's run by computers, down to 57 degrees. So the cabin was 57 degrees when we walked in there during the day, and probably colder at night.
Probably, it was definitely
colder at night. So
he admitted to 57 degrees, and well, you're running.
He did. He admitted to the 57 degrees, and okay, so then you change it. No, what happened was the refrigeration engineer manually overrode the system for that cabin, put the temperature air conditioning set at 57 degrees, did not notify his refrigeration engineering team, didn't notify the any other supervisor, and nobody knew what was going on with the cabin because of that. Okay, so it was their fault.
Important for me to interject here. We said in the interim, after 6, 7 nights getting ready to go to sleep, we said, put us in another room. We can't stay in this room. Exactly. It is freezing. No, they couldn't do that. They couldn't put us in temporarily. We'll leave our bags here. We'll go to another room, or we'll take the bags if you want. Whatever. They couldn't accommodate us.
They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. And I don't know if the ship was fully booked, but they could have done something, but they didn't. Okay, so we were left in a freezing cold room that night, and we didn't get heat until at least the afternoon of the next day.
It was like about 24 hours.
It was about 24 hours. Absolutely.
We have it all recorded to the minute, an 11-page letter, single space.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into
twice.
That. Yeah, we'll get into that.
2 lengthy letters.
So we get no satisfaction.
That's when we got back, not when we were on ship.
No satisfaction from guest services at all. No satisfaction from the fellow that was taking care of our cabin, and excuses given by the assistant hotel director. So he said, well, I saw that you had dinner at Ocean Blue the other night. I can arrange to have you have a dinner there, no extra charge, because that's one of their top restaurants, and there's an upcharge for that restaurant.
You have to back up?
I'm going to back up, okay?
Okay.
He first said, well, we can send you to the free show it was Cirque, based on Cirque du Soleil on board. We saw Cirque du Soleil in Manhattan, and nothing is going to beat that. So we weren't interested. So we said, okay, well, we'll go for another dinner at Ocean Blue. Well,
And
that
we
never
weren't,
happened.
we weren't looking for anything, but to find out what had happened later on, when it was Donna's just getting warmed up here, then we said no, we have to have some sort of compensation.
Yeah.
But I'm getting ahead
But
of
that
myself
that
here.
that
So,
didn't happen. There was no
let's say what happened at dinner.
there was no
A dinner that we
dinner
paid for in
oh,
advance.
Well, I'm gonna get to that. So we didn't do that. The assistant hotel director also told us that the captain will probably meet with us regarding the situation. Never happened. Okay. And Bob, during the meeting with the assistant hotel director, he says, you know, you're taking my word for it. You see that I have a runny nose a little bit, but I'm really sick to the point where I'm in bed and I'm not going to shows, I'm not going to dinner, I'm not going to breakfast, I'm not going to lunch. So the assistant hotel director, okay, we'll have the doctor take a look at you.
And I don't go to
He doesn't
doctors.
go to doctors. He's not a doctor. He's
but
not a
there
doctor
I was
person.
going to the doctor.
Okay, so back and forth, telephone call, finally arranged after all kinds of nonsense went on. We went down to the medical team. They knew nothing of the problem. Of course, the assistant hotel director said, you know, you're not paying for it. They knew nothing of the problem.
And insisted that we pay.
Yes, so we had to fill out all kinds of paperwork. I think there were about 6 or 7 pages.
Without
that we
exaggeration.
we had to sign. And as an aside, folks, you don't want to get sick on a cruise ship, because I was standing online one day, I got guest services, and this lady was ahead of me, and she called her girlfriend over. She says, you're not going to believe this, but I went to the medical room to get some aspirin, and I got a bill for $765. I almost choked. I was like, whoa, you really do take out insurance if you're going to go cruising. So anyway, the doctor gave Bob 3, I can read it right here, 3 antibiotic pills. I got it. Cold relief pills, an expectorant, and mucus pills, and ibuprofen. You know, take this and see me in the morning kind of thing, right? Okay. So now after a few days, I'm catching his cold. So I'm not feeling up to par. Not as bad as he, but not up to par. So now,
This is why I wanted you to back up to that dinner, because when we had the dinner, I was fine.
Yeah.
This is when we first boarded. So.
Yeah, Ocean Blue. If you
won't believe this.
The restaurant for Ocean Blue is, as I said before, they're one of their upscale restaurants. Delicious food. I have to tell you what's good and what's bad here. However, we took the dining package, and they were on the dining package, but that restaurant, Ocean Blue, in addition to being on the dining package that they say is free, which is really not free, check your account, there's an upcharge for that seafood, that restaurant. So I said, oh, okay, all right, he loves seafood so much, we'll do it. Okay, we're going to be celebrating. It was like the cruise to celebrate our 70th and 75th birthday.
As a matter of fact, tomorrow is your
birthday. Don't tell him how old
March
I am.
6th. No? Okay.
Okay. So anyway, so we go to the young lady who is in front of the restaurant, and we had I booked the reservation before we even paid in full. It was all booked. And we looked at the menu, and there was a seafood lobster special. And she says, oh, I have to tell you, if you're ordering the seafood lobster special, you have to pay another, what was it, $19.98 per person to have that. That's in addition to the upcharge to go to that restaurant. I was saying to myself, this is like crazy. Nothing was said later on. Later on, I went home and I looked at their frequently asked questions list, and I can read it to you verbatim here because we have it all documented. Question: are there any menu items excluded from specialty dining packages? The answer from Norwegian Cruise Line: no. All items listed on the menus are included in the package. Says nothing about an additional charge because you're ordering a certain dish at a specialty
An additional
restaurant.
upcharge.
Absolutely crazy. Well, needless to say, we didn't order that. We ordered something else, and the food was very good, and we were very replete. And of course, dessert came with dinner. So we told the waitress that we really couldn't do the dessert because we were really full. So she said, "Oh, well, that's okay. We'll have it sent up to your room."
Never came.
It never came. It never came.
We didn't need it.
It was
That's
reminiscent.
the point,
It was
right?
reminiscent of our trip to the Dominican Republic poolside at El Embajador Hotel, very nice hotel, where Bob ordered a second beer, una cerveza, which never came. He got his first beer, but he never got his second beer. Okay, now all of this is going on with people that were sitting next to us in the buffet area, coughing. They were coughing. They were sneezing. They were doing this and they were doing that. The personnel walking around, usually, "Good morning. How are you? Good afternoon. How are you?" Nothing.
Sour faces.
Sour faces. I don't know what was going on with that crew, but they were absolutely not only arrogant at guest relations, unhelpful and uncaring. And that is so unusual for a cruise ship. You would think. I mean, the cruise that we were on with the room that we booked, the mini suite, that cost us, with the dining and everything else that we booked some excursions, came to $5,500. Now, folks, I don't know about you, but we don't have discretionary money. We saved for 2 years to go on this cruise. Okay, so now let's get into, talk about excursions. The excursion to, let's see, Bamboo Beach, and we did the VIP in Jamaica, which was really very nice. There's no problem in Jamaica, only situation. Remember her? She was a sweetheart. Okay, but he's sick. We go because we paid for it, but he's sick, so not enjoying ourselves. Then we go to Maya Key in Roatan, Honduras, which was very nice. And then we go to Harvest Key in Belize, which I believe is their private island, which was also very beautiful. We're waiting on line at Harvest Key, and all of a sudden, I drop. And of course, he's behind me, so he caught me. Now, I have to tell you that we're talking January here. It's not as hot as you think it can be. It can be in the summer in the islands. It was only like 80 degrees. It was sunny, but we were in the shade waiting for the little carts, the little golf carts, to take us back down the road.
You were getting sick from me.
I was getting sick. I went down. The next thing I know, the nurse who had attended Bob,
ironically,
is taking my blood pressure. How do you feel? How this and I, folks, I have never fainted in my entire life. That was the first time, and I didn't feel it coming on. So it was just, my system was all upset with an oncoming cold and all of this. Okay, so we had to suffer through that. We suffered through the illnesses, and mind you, this is a 2-week vacation. We're on this boat for 2 weeks, so we can't go. We're not coming home anytime fast, even though we wanted to. I told you about the Ocean Blue restaurant. I told you about that. We went to Savor. We went to Taste. We and went to Oceans. Those are the complimentary dining areas.
I think you missed a beat here where the hotel assistant manager was going to send us back to that restaurant that we enjoyed.
Never happened.
That never happened.
That never happened. I think we did mention that, but it never happened, folks. It never happened. No follow-up, no caring. They know we're sick. How are you feeling? Can we do anything for you? Nothing like that. Could care less. We were at dinner at Savor Restaurant, and Bob ordered
Oh, the turkey?
the turkey dinner. Okay? He says to the waitress...
Another one you're not going to believe.
He says to the waitress, "May I have all white meat?" And she says, "Certainly." I said, "Okay, fine. That's great. All white meat." He doesn't like dark meat turkey. I don't really remember what I had, what I ordered. I don't really remember, but there wasn't an issue with it. Well, we waited, and he got his dinner, and all it was on the plate was white meat turkey, no vegetable,
Nothing.
no potato,
The table
no
next
nothing.
to us, the people were
they were
guffawing.
hysterical. They were
They couldn't
hysterical.
believe it. Not laughing at us, but with us. It
Yeah.
was a comedy of errors.
It was mind-boggling. If anything could go wrong, folks, it went wrong on this ship.
It's like I said, could I have turkey, white meat turkey, and nothing else?
Okay.
And it wasn't a language problem because
No, they were fine with the language. So then, Cagney's Steakhouse. We had eaten at Cagney's on the Norwegian Gem. It was wonderful, wonderful. So we went there. That was a specialty dining that was in our package, and Bob ordered a steak, and he said rare. It came raw. He was having a steak tartare. At that point, he wasn't feeling great. He wasn't feeling great in any stretch of the imagination. So he ate around the edges. The middle was like totally raw, and we didn't enjoy that at all. We went to Ocean's, which is a complimentary little bar kind of thing. Ordered a rare burger. Came well done.
I mean, well done.
I had a Reuben. I ordered a Reuben. If I tell you that the salt shaker cap came off when he was putting the salt on the Reuben, that would be very close, right? Salty like you would not believe. Heavy on the salt, and I'm salt. He likes salt on his meat, but even he said it was ridiculous. Now, you go on a cruise, you're going to gain weight, right? Listen to this one. He lost 10 pounds. I lost 8 pounds. So we were on like a total diet here. We ordered egg. Oh, I ordered scrambled eggs. That was another thing. Scrambled eggs. I said, "Here,
I was in a service. I know powdered eggs. They were powdered eggs. Now, other people looked around, they had Sunnyside or Over Easy, those were real eggs, but the scrambled eggs were powdered eggs.
They were just inedible. It was just, the service at the restaurants was, except for Ocean Blue, was poor, to say the least. No smiles, no nothing. I don't know what they're doing with their crew, but beware, folks. As far as Norwegian Cruise Line is concerned, I would look at other cruise lines who have a better reputation. There are a number of websites that you could go to. Cruise Critic, you can go to Cruise Law News, I believe it is. It gives you all the updates. As a matter of fact, I just saw an update where one of the Norwegian ships, I don't remember if it was the Jade or the Epic, I can't remember, crashed into a dock in Puerto Rico. People missed out on ports. They had to get off the ship, and then they had to fly home. They're not great by any stretch of the imagination. Now, I also want you to know that there's a new CEO of the Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings, and I think they own Oceania and another cruise line. His name is Frank Del Rio, and back in 2015, his salary came to $32 million for what this man does. So you would think that you sent a letter complaining about, we wanted to let him know what was going on in the ship.
We sent him a couple letters certified, and we're not talking about the letters that we wrote on the ship. They were notes, if you will.
Okay, so now you're wondering, well, what's the upshot to all of this? What was their response? After weeks of sending a letter out to Mr. Frank Del Rio explaining all of this that we just went through with you, we get an email from guest relations. They typically forward whatever letter you're going to send all the executives that are out of touch with what's going on their ship to guest relations, and they handle it. We were very upset about what you saw, what you experienced, and we're truly sorry about it. Well, they had to say that because it was their fault. So we had asked for a refund. Norwegian does not give refunds. They want you on their ships again to spend money. So what they said, well, for your next cruise that you must take within 12 months, folks, we don't save that much money in 12 months to go on a cruise, okay? We'll take off $500. $500 from his account, $500 from my account. You didn't get it, folks. We don't want to cruise with Norwegian Cruise Line ever again, ever again. So we sent another letter to guest relations, and then another letter. They're coming back. Then they came back with, well, our final offer is we're going to give you $1,000 off each of your
not reimbursement.
No reimbursement. They want you, like
money's
I said,
off for your next cruise, which we made very, very clear, as Donna just said. To reiterate, we wouldn't
cruise with Norwegian if they were the last cruise line on Earth.
Now, in the interim, missed one beat here. We contacted the consummate maritime lawyers in Miami. They're in Miami, so we figured we'll deal with Miami. Nobody would touch it.
Nobody would touch it.
Because of the maritime laws. Now, I won't mention anyone's name, but we were told on a QT, you really haven't got a case. It's going to cost you money to fight this, and
you really have no recourse.
You have no recourse.
The maritime laws are written for the cruise lines. They're not written for the passengers. So you have to be very, very careful. I could go on with letters from people who have had experiences on the various Norwegian Cruise Line ships about them being notified that this woman's daughter is allergic to peanuts. They gave her food that had a content or touched peanuts. You know, these kids are allergic to this stuff. The kid almost died. Could care less. Could care less. Now, as reputation goes, Carnival is not really up there, and people have a lot of bad things to say about Carnival, and it's all up to the experience. We've never traveled on Carnival, so we can't say. But I have to tell you that, I don't know if it was 6 or 7 months ago, I read that a water pipe broke on one of the floors on Carnival, and the staterooms, about 10 staterooms, were flooded. The crew cleaned it up in an hour and a half, and without the passengers even asking, all of the passengers in those staterooms got a total refund on their ship, on their cruise. Norwegian, forget about it. You're not going to get it. They're into the money, and as a matter of fact, I just read that Frank Del Rio said that he is increasing the rates for the rooms on their cruises come 2019. And I had posted that on Facebook, and somebody had responded, yeah, I noticed that the rates were higher than last year, because if you're a constant cruiser, you know what you should be paying for what you get. We had sent emails to Vivian Ewert, who is the Vice President of Passenger Relations. Andy Stewart, he's the President and CEO of Norwegian Cruise Line. No response. No response. You go on the phone to try to get them on the phone. You're on the phone 20, 25 minutes.
Without exaggeration.
On hold.
Yeah.
And we're not the only ones, folks. But we just felt it was extremely important to share this with you, to do your due diligence, you may be paying more for an MSC cruise line or a celebrity cruise line, but you're not going to have these kinds of experiences where your total vacation is ruined. And we're not talking a 3 or 4 day cruise where you can kind of tolerate this stuff. We were on this ship for 2 solid weeks. Correct?
Correct.
So, you know, you really, really, really have to do your due diligence. We will never cruise Norwegian, and as a matter of fact, we are encouraging people that we know and people that we speak through social media to not deal with Norwegian Cruise Line. And some people will say, oh, they're just wonderful, they're this, they're that, they're that. But if you have a problem, you can whistle Dixie and nothing is going to happen, folks. So is there anything else that you think we want to tell these people?
Yeah. Through some of my writings and through some of our other shows that I mentioned, I was immediately contacted by friends and acquaintances and strangers. And they made it clear to me that they had there was a group of 6 or 7. They canceled because of what I had said and what Donna had said.
And a friend of ours was having a family reunion. He says, oh, I'm so glad I read about this because we're not going to go with Norwegian. And we're talking about 20 people. So they could have had a nice piece of change from that.
We know that they lost $35,000. Yeah. And today, as a matter of fact, I'm not going to mention any names, but I can say our dentist,
yes.
You want to pick up so they hear it from your mouth.
Yes, we were at the bank today, and who's standing 2 people behind me is my dentist. Oh, hi, Doc, how you doing? How you doing? And he says, so how did you make out with Norwegian? Well, we went through that, forget that. He says, no, he says, you should try Celebrity. It is fantastic. I said, well, okay, maybe we'll give Celebrity a shot. But the reviews for Norwegian Cruise Line, as I said, Cruise Critic, Cruise Law News, just Google complaints about Norwegian Cruise Line and you will get them, folks, let me tell you. And some of the stories are horrendous, even worse than what
by comparison.
You know. So, how are we doing?
Yep, I think we pretty much covered.
So, as I said, do your due diligence when you're taking a cruise. It can be a wonderful experience, but you have to be careful who you're cruising with. And you'll have a great time, but not with Norwegian, and we would never go on a Norwegian cruise line.
In all fairness, we did one before this with Norwegian. Everything was fine. But Norwegian's policy, see, that's important. There is no remuneration. They're not going to take care of you monetarily if there's a problem. And admittedly, it was their fault with this air conditioning, which precipitated the whole matter. And along with these asides at the restaurant, it was just...
It was a disaster, a total disaster.
But again, you don't have recourse. But we know Holland America, boy, we recommend highly. But that's just 2 of us on our first cruise. If there was a problem, I bet they would take care of you because I did a little bit of homework and there were problems and they did take care of the people. But when a policy says, no, we do not reimburse you, that's it. We'll give you $500. We'll give you $1,000 for your next cruise. Not interested.
Not interested in going through this again. Okay, folks. Well, check out our channel, A Special Interests with Bob and Donna. And Bob talks about his crime thriller novels. We talk about controlled angled knife sharpening systems. We get into all kinds of things. So it's an eclectic channel. And we hope you'll follow us. Give us a like. If you give us a thumbs up, if you like the video, and subscribe to our channel, Special Interests with Bob and Donna. We'll see you next time.
Say happy birthday to Donna tomorrow.
Thank you, folks.